Today on JetCast, we are joined by WFAN host Danielle McCartan. JetCast Shop is the only place to get official JetCast merchandise. You can buy t-shirts, hats, water bottles, and much, much more. All of our items are high quality. Order online and have your product shipped right to your door. Check out the latest gear today at shop.jetcastpod.com. JetCast Nation, welcome to episode 20. I am Pat, that's Ray, and today we are joined by Danielle McCartan from WFAN New York. Danielle, how you doing?
Good. How are you? I got my my Sauce Gardner on tonight.
Nice. So, I wanted to ask you, starting off, was there any point where you didn't think Aaron was happening? Because I went through that for a little bit there, where I just didn't believe it was going to happen.
Right in the beginning, I'll tell you right in the beginning, because when I was looking at the available quarterbacks for next year on my show, I put Tom Brady before he retired and Aaron Rodgers in a separate tier, like almost in an untouchable tier. I was like, they'll never get either one of those. So let's look at the rest. I actually said that. So we had, I examined all the rest of them, put my recommendations and so forth. And all of a sudden it was like, wait a minute, this could actually happen. Wow. Maybe let's start looking at this. So the only time I kind of sort of doubted it was right in the beginning when I was like, no way. The Jets could never land Aaron Rodgers. Never, ever. And then here we are.
Yeah. I had those thoughts creep in when they were whining and dining Derek Carr. I thought, for a while there, Derek Carr was the way to go. Ray, what did you think?
Yeah, it seemed like his brother came out. He said a lot of positive things about the Jets. It seemed like that. But then out of nowhere, we all knew New Orleans had that meeting with him prior. He signs with New Orleans. Jet fans are freaking out. And then we're hearing through our sources, and later confirmed by Robert Saleh on Joe Beningo's podcast, that they were, Ryan Tannehill's a good quarterback. I'm like, oh, no. Like, that is such Jets if that happens right there. But, hey, it happened. It went down. And, Danielle, what I'm curious to ask you is, we see this division, so probably one of the toughest divisions in all of football, without a doubt. Where do you see the Jets stacking up right now? We know we got the big boy up there, Josh Allen in Buffalo. We got Tua coming back. If he could stay healthy, they're very formidable. And, we haven't beat Bill Belichick, it seems, in 100 years. So we can't... we could say they're a crap team, but until we beat them, we don't have a leg to stand on.
As it stands, like right now, if you put, held my feet to the fire and said, where are the Jets going to finish in the division? I'd probably say second behind the Bills. The Dolphins don't scare me. With or without Tua, they just don't scare me. I don't think he's a great quarterback. Sorry. I know a lot of people do, and I hear a lot about it on Twitter, but what has he done? What has he actually done? Right. Guy can't even stay on the field. I mean, the guy actually should retire because it's his livelihood at stake. But that's not my decision, clearly. But and the Patriots, yes and no. Mac Jones is worse than Zach Wilson. So I know it's Bill Belichick, but I think the Aaron Rodgers is the trump card here. I think you have Aaron Rodgers. I you know what I mean? It's a moot point at that point.
It's certainly going to be a tough schedule though this year, right?
Yeah, they're one of the toughest, I think. What was it, 8th or 9th toughest schedule based on last year's win percentages? So, right. or was that the Giants? The Jets are like, one of them is like 8th or 9th, the other one's like 13th or 14th. Not that it makes a huge difference, but yeah, it's going to be tough this year. But you know what? I think they are. I mean, they're all in. They got Aaron Rodgers. I see your jersey in the background over there. I don't know if that's a Moore jersey there.
He's got it turned around.
I am waiting to have somebody rip those letters off the back. Elijah Moore was my guy. Very sad to see him go, but love to see him leave now that we got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just the Jets have just pushed all the chips into the middle, and I can't believe that we are talking about Jets and Super Bowl like in the same sentence. Honestly, like this is something in my lifetime. Really, it hasn't really ever happened except for those two Sanchez years. But other than that, the expectation is the Super Bowl for the Jets this year. It has to be. Who knows if Aaron Rodgers is even playing the year after this year?
Right. Do you think that it's an actual realistic expectation to think Super Bowl? I know, sometimes it takes a year for teams to gel, but we're bringing in a very familiar offense. We're bringing in Lazard, Cobb. We're bringing in a lot of Rodgers guys who are going to help build out this offense right away. So and Rodgers saying that he's so committed to these off-season workouts, which he wasn't in Green Bay. Hopefully, will accelerate this
Yep.
going into hopefully week 1 and week 2. We saw last year how much this defense struggled early on, and we saw DJ Reed come out and say, "Well, this defense is struggling because we're still learning new communications." I don't want to see that. This is a veteran. 2 MVPs in the last 3 years. No excuses.
Defensive
We got to hit the
rookie of
ground
the
running.
year. Defensive rookie of the year.
That's right.
I mean, that's it. It's it. For all those reasons that you just listed, like the Jets are win now. The Jets are. It is a real. To get back to your question, it is a realistic expectation. Just today at lunch at school, I watched a video on Twitter of Aaron Rodgers throwing a dime to Garrett Wilson. So, like
Yep.
you said, he's committed. It's go time. I mean, they're already working at it, which is really great to see.
What did you think of the draft pick, Will McDonald? Because we were live and we weren't too thrilled about it at the time, but going back on it and thinking about it, like, what else were you going to do in that position? Because the big four tackles were gone.
Yeah.
You could have traded back, but if a player is there that they like, I can't kill them for taking him. What did you think?
I don't know. I not that I don't like him. I think he's probably a great player, all that, but I just didn't like the pick. I think Bill Belichick put him in a tailspin.
Yeah.
Once those offensive linemen were gone, and I don't think the Jets had a backup plan. I thought they were kind of caught with their pants down, to use that expression. But I didn't love it. At that point, I wish they would have just traded back just a couple spots. I mean, I have a list of all my guys that I liked, but Will McDonald wasn't really on it at all. I think I had him ranked as like the 18th or 19th best player in the draft, which I guess is all right, but it's just a crowded room. The linebacker room is just a crowded room. So questionable. I just think questionable. I think the Giants had an A+ draft. I think I gave the Jets only because they got Tippmann.
Yeah.
Only because Tippmann. I think that's kind of salvaged the draft for them because I liked Tippmann and the one that the Giants got. I think what did I end up giving them, a B, I think, maybe on their draft. I don't know. Like last year, obviously you're not going to top last year's, right? You're just not. But I just think last year they had a better strategy almost going into that draft versus this year, I think.
I think some of their strategy this year in selecting Will McDonald is they know they don't have a first-round pick next year, and odds are Lawson's probably gone after this year. JFM might even be gone. Bryce Huff's an unrestricted free agent. He might command some big money. So I think they're trying to fortify that line for years to come. Now, let me try to settle you a little bit, because when we first did all this, we hosted a couple of spaces. I'm a giant Texas Longhorns fan, so I got to see plenty of Will McDonald on the field, and I'll tell you this. I remember, going back for the last couple of years, it's always, where's Will McDonald on that defense? Because he's the only guy that can hurt us. And I know he had subpar production this past year, but I would change your defensive scheme and really ask him to start rushing from the inside at 239 pounds, which, most teams, you're not going to ever do that. So I think he provides us with a versatility. I think he's going to work on maybe dropping back in some coverages. And, he's explosive off the edge. He is. A lot of people had him as a number 2 pass rusher in this class behind Will Anderson, who went, top 5 overall. So I'm really excited about Will McDonald. You're adding to his strength. And one thing that we know is we're 1 or 2 injuries away from all of a sudden Will McDonald is playing a lot more than we thought. And one thing for sure is, Clemens' health is not the furthest thing from a guarantee. Yeah. We know that Saleh likes to move JFM on the interior, especially on passing down. So I think he's going to get plenty of run off the edge. Now, I want to go into the Tippmann. Did you have him as your number 1 center? A lot of people had the other center. Yeah, the other. A lot of people had the other center. Some people are like, his height might be a big factor. He's a big 6'8" center, and there's not a lot of tall centers in the league. Could that hurt your quarterback seeing over the top? What's your analysis with that?
Yeah, I had Joe Tippmann 2. I had John Michael Schmitz 1. And I had Joe Tippmann 2. But getting back to your point, like just the whole draft strategy, it's kind of like, all right, well, why? Like, you need to make an impact move now. We just talked about how to win now. Why are you adding to an area of strength? Why are you adding to a depth piece in round 1? And I get all the reasons why, and like all those guys could be gone. Right. But like, I don't know. I think you do that in round 2. You do that in round 3. It's like I don't know. I just didn't like the strategy. Like, I feel like at that point they needed to make an impact choose an impact player at a position that they needed help at, like safety, or maybe you're not taking safety in the first round, but maybe you trade back a little bit and you get that safety. I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I just didn't really love it.
Only time will tell, because
I know.
We all give our draft cards day one, I always hear I love when I saw every year for years on edge. The Jacksonville Jaguars won the draft. And they stink every single year after that. So who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to build it out. I think the Jets are finally learning you have to build from the line out on both sides of the ball. And I think that's obviously the strategy. That's a winning strategy. I always say, look at the Kansas City Chiefs model. Look at the Tennessee Titans model. Ryan Tannehill looked like a superstar. Why? The offensive line were superstars.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I mean, a decade of poor drafting got us to this position. So it is a little different, I think, going into this draft where we didn't have so many holes. Where I didn't expect this draft to be such a home run like the last draft was, just because we didn't have that many picks and we were farther back. But just going real quick back to Tippmann. Like Ray said, he's a big guy. I think his playing weight is actually 20 pounds heavier than Nick Mangold, and he's 2 inches taller. I mean, he's a beast of a man. I had him number 1. I was shocked that John Michael Schmitz actually fell even farther after us. So I'm just trying to think, maybe we're all sitting here having him number 1, but within those inner circles of GMs, they know something. Of course, they always know something that we don't know. But I hope he's the center for the next decade. I really do.
I think so. I mean, like I had him, second, and based on my notes here that I'm looking at, I wrote high football IQ with ability to make calls and adjustments. That's great. Fluid with reactive athleticism to adjust to targets in space. Okay. The rushers off the edge, right? Even maybe dumps blitzers on the ground with upper body power. I mean, if you want to be protecting Aaron Rodgers and learning from Aaron Rodgers on top of all of that. So there's a lot to like about Joe Tippmann. I think he's going to be here for the next 10 years. I hope so.
Do you think there's any downside, though, to having a rookie on the line snapping the ball to Aaron? Because no? Okay.
I don't think so. You don't know why? Because obviously this guy's a smart guy. Obviously. He's got a high football IQ. That's what stuck out kind of to the Jets during their meetings. And I think carrying Aaron Rodgers there is only going to accelerate his growth. I mean, if you've got a veteran behind there and he tells you, hey, taps you on the butt and he says, okay, watch that guy over there. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's only there as a benefit.
Mm-hmm. So realistic expectations for the season. Me personally, I'm just trying to figure out how much we're going to win the Super Bowl by, but I want your professional opinion.
Well, I'll tell you this. I have a friend that lives in Vegas. I have a few friends in Vegas, but my one friend, Christina, she's a Bills fan. Who cares? But I said,
how are you friends with a Bills fan? This is breaking news on JetCast.
What I said to her, I was like, listen, the hotel rooms are going to be exorbitant that Super Bowl weekend. I know that. So when the Jets are in the Super Bowl, I'm making reservations at your house. I'm staying over that weekend when the Jets are in the Super Bowl. And she was like, fine. She's like, they won't be there, but it's fine. Okay. All right, I'll be there. So realistic expectations for the Jets. Super Bowl. It is. It has to be.
Right. All in.
Yeah.
Ray, any last thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you, Coach, for coming on and giving us some of your time, and we look forward to having you in the future again.
Yeah, hopefully for a little bit longer, but I just noticed that the Carolina Hurricanes tied it up against the Devils, so
oh boy.
Yeah, I know. And then I'm coaching, I'm teaching, I'm coaching. It's a lot. So once coaching's over, we'll get together again, hopefully soon. Hopefully in the preseason starts up, maybe.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.